What's happening, crypto fam? You're tuned in to the Elite Wealth Podcast, where we unlock the secrets of crushing it in the Web3 and cryptocurrency space. I'm Tyler Brewer, alongside the co-host Garrison Rolley, and since 2016, we've been educating, enriching, and empowering hundreds of students across the globe on how to make waves and create generational wealth in this space.
Each episode, Tyler and I keep it real with you, analyzing the top market movers and industry leaders, the latest news, and how to avoid the potholes on the road to crypto riches. We're industry vets who have guided students over 500% gains in this wild 2024 market.
If you're a rookie crypto trader or a seasoned investor, you're in the right hands. We will teach you how to level up your mindset and skills to really capitalize on this decentralized revolution.
Subscribe now and join us every week as we lead you step by step into elite digital wealth with the Elite Wealth Podcast. In this episode, guys, we'll be covering blockchain, decentralization, centralization, transparency, immutability, chronological and time-stamped, consensus-driven, and applications. Guys, all this stuff can all be created on the blockchain and is actually used on the blockchain. So first, we're going to cover our own definitions of blockchain, and then we'll go ahead and read the actual definition. Tyler, do you want to start off with your own definition there?
Yeah, bro. So you can hear me loud and clear, right?
Yes, sir. Sounds loud and good.
Awesome, man. So yeah, honestly, what I would say is my personal definition of blockchain is, I see it as like a whole. I see it as more, like a group of things. So blockchain to me is ultimately upgrading the current monetary system. Obviously, there's more
Okay.
to it, which we'll cover today. But for me, my definition would really be blockchain is a technology, right? But it's an upgrade. Crypto and blockchain combined is an upgrade of the current monetary system and a better upgrade of the monetary system today.
Nice. Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I'm on the same page as you. My definition's a little bit different. I kind of just took the actual definition, put it into a little bit of my own words, and changed the sentences a little bit. But mine is blockchain is a digital technology that keeps track of and records every and all transaction across multiple computers in a network. It's secure, transparent, and decentralized record keeping, provides trusted, tamper-resistant way to track and verify digital information. So, um, I guess it's not really my own definition, but as you can see, we'll look it up here and read it right from, I guess, Brave browser here. Do you
Yeah,
have that
bro. And you
pulled
know
up?
what's crazy? What's crazy, bro, is I think a lot of people don't realize this blockchain technology has actually been around for a long time. It's not new. Blockchain and crypto started in
Correct.
2009, but blockchain in general, the technology itself has been around since about 1995, and the company who started using it in 1995 still utilizes it today, right? Blockchain is really realistically, if you imagine exactly a block chain, another block, right? Imagine a chain connecting both my hands and then just boom, another chain, another chain. And those blocks, they have all the information, all the data, all the storage. And what can happen inside of those blocks is a variety of things. But again, guys, blockchain technology isn't new. It's been around since about 1995. And
Yeah,
Garrison, I think
go ahead.
you have the real definition of it pulled up
Yeah.
of Wikipedia or something.
Yeah, so
Or
this is a mix of CoinDesk, Investopedia, Wikipedia, and Forbes. When you look it up on Brave, it gives you like a summarize. So I'll read this
yeah.
here. Blockchain is a distributed database or ledger that is shared among a computer network nodes. It facilitates the process of recording transactions and tracking assets in a business network, reducing reducing risks and cutting costs for all involved. Blockchain technology eliminates the need for a trusted party to facilitate the digital relationships and is the backbone of cryptocurrencies. Again, guys, it's not only crypto, it's just that's what backs cryptocurrency. It is a unique in that it's totally decentralized, and many identical copies of a blockchain database are held on multiple computers spread out across a network. Each block contains a cryptographic hash of the previous block, a timestamp, and transaction data, generally represented as a Merkle tree, where the data nodes are represented by leaves. So that's another way to look at it, like Tyler was saying, just from a block to a chain, like um every time the tree
And
grows, it's a new block.
exactly, bro. And what's interesting about blockchain technology, again, it's a technology. When you think of crypto or blockchain itself, a lot of people instantly are like, oh my gosh, cryptocurrency, right? But
Yeah.
again, blockchain technology itself isn't just cryptocurrency. It's not just limited to cryptocurrency. In cryptocurrency, the main reason we like blockchain is because the oh my goodness, the decentralization aspect of it. We have the decentralization and the centralization, right? Centralization version of it would be a CBDC, a centralized bank digital currencies, what that stands for. The decentralized version means, in my own words, right, there's no centralized entity, there's no single person or group of people that control the market, right? That's what decentralized means.
I'm gonna
And
explain this in a different term. Sorry to cut you off, Tyler. So like say Tyler wanted to send me money. He's in Florida, I'm in Chicago. Say I want to send him money, we lost a bet and I have to pay him something. So I send him the money. It has to go through a centralized, like a third party. So whether it's Zelle or Cash App or we're doing it right through the bank, I'm wiring him money through the bank. They have to verify that transaction is legit and blah blah blah. If and it's super easy to just call it and say it was on accident or get it right back. On blockchain, it's immutable. So you can't just call your bank and be like, "Hey, my son just sent all my money and I need it back." Which you can do that apparently.
yeah, bro, and on average, it costs about 2.5% per transaction to send. When you think about that, it costs about 40 transactions. If you and I send $100 back and forth with each other, eventually after about 40 transactions, that will be worth $0.
Right.
And it's not necessarily the friction or the fees that are a problem, right? There's a lot more to it. There's a lot more things to it. It's not just the fees, right? Everything's friction. Me moving across the room requires friction. So the fees isn't the problem. It's the other things that come along with that aspect. But what we want to cover today, guys, is really the decentralization aspect, right? When you look at decentralization, it refers really to the distribution of power, control, the decision making across really a network of participants rather than just being in a concentrated entity or a single group of people, right? And that's the thing that's really attractive about cryptocurrency is that part of it, the decentralization.
Yeah, and decentralization, like we were talking about, we think that's one of the biggest utilities, I guess we could say, as blockchain, because everybody's starting to learn we don't want to deal with those third parties, like I was saying, like Tyler said, two and a half every transaction, that adds
Yeah,
up.
man. And
Imagine you're
yeah,
sending
and
$1 million.
imagine, right? There's a fraudulent individual in between, right? There's somebody in between the fraud, right? Somebody stealing your money. Every time you send something, there's a percent being taken out. Not then think about taxes, right? Taxes, we can go down a rabbit hole there, but really in a decentralized system, guys, right? In a decentralized system, what controls it is nodes, right? Nodes, smart contracts. There's a lot more things along the way. A smart contract, think of it, a smart contract like a vending machine. A vending machine, right? You go up to a vending machine, you press C9. Every time you get C9. Now, with the vending machine, it's physical. I can go and break the glass, right? I can go break the glass and rob the vending machine. When it comes to the coding, it's a little bit different. Like Garrison said, there's a lot of the reasons why we like the uh
Centralization,
decentralization.
or
Yeah,
yeah,
sorry, I blanked
yeah.
on the word, but the really the autonomy, right? The autonomy, I think I'm saying the word right, and the self-sovereignty, right? Transparency and the accountability, the resilience and the redundancy, and the permissionless and the open access, right? If you wanted to send money right now and a wire transfer, say Garrison was in another country, I want to wire transfer money, I can't. The banks are closed.
Right. Yeah. It's it's just like I always talk about, it advances humanity in my opinion. Like it just makes it so much easier to collaborate with someone across the world or whatever it may be. Um,
Yeah.
so
And
I get,
and
go
there's
ahead.
more to it. I would say that, and then really there's more to it too, bro. You think about like um the resiliency of decentralization, right? By distributing the power across the network to multiple people, right? And Garrison, I talked to you about this earlier in the Bitcoin Standard. It's an amazing book. If you haven't read it yet, I highly recommend reading it. In the Bitcoin Standard, there was a place called Yap Island, not Nap Island, Yap Island, and there was these people, the Yapese people, right? They use a currency. It's actually on the cover of this. They use this little limestone right here. They use that limestone as a currency. Now, with this limestone, there was little ones, but there was also big ones, like huge boulders that you couldn't move that were always in the same spot. But the thing is everybody knew who owned it. So the resiliency of it, right? By distributing the power, no, by telling everybody, hey, Tyler owns this huge rock in the center of the neighborhood, right next to the oak tree. You know, Tyler owns this, and he traded it for Garrison's house. So now Garrison owns it, and everybody in the whole community knows that Garrison owns that rock, right? Now, a lot more things come up with the rock, not just the money, right? And this is what's important. Not just the money, but the accountability. If Garrison's a bad person, who's to say they just take the rock from him,
Yeah, and that's
right?
one thing
And
I want to
that's
keep going, keep going.
go ahead, sorry, go ahead. I was saying
That
that's
was
the
gonna be
power
one.
that
That was gonna be one thing I wanted to bring up is like how is the blockchain like how does it hold people accountable? Blah blah blah. Like some people might not understand that, and that's kind of what Tyler just explained. Like the blockchain records if I send money from my wallet to his wallet, it's gonna record that exact wallet, exactly how much cryptocurrency I sent to him on the time, the day, everything, down to the penny.
and everybody knows.
And I can't get that back. Like I said earlier, I can't just call the call the blockchain and say, "Hey, I didn't mean to send that transaction."
Oh, I said at the bank of blockchain, bro, there's nobody there to call, number
Oh,
one, but number two, there's nobody there to steal your money.
correct.
And that's what's important, guys. You know, at the bank, you know, when I say steal, it's more legally saying steal, right? Because there's inflation and other factors. But guys, ultimately with centralization, decentralization, there's a lot of things that we like. The number one thing is the honesty, the transparency, the morality of it, right? Garrison can't
Correct.
go be a crappy person if everybody knows that he owns the rock in the center of the place. What are they gonna do, bro? Nobody's gonna want his money. Nobody's gonna want to do business with him, right? And it's
Right.
similar with cryptocurrency, right? There's accountability, right? There's accountability with ignorance. If you're ignorant to certain things, you will face accountability. So, really, the self sovereignty, right? The self authority, the ability to have access to your things, send them when you want, whenever you want. You don't have to wait on somebody else. You have the transparency and the accountability, right? What I just went over, the resiliency, which realistically across time, you think of the US dollar, right? The US dollar, I can light a dollar on fire. I can't destroy a Bitcoin unless I send it to a place where it can never be recovered. That's the only way to destroy it. But the thing is, I can't reprint the Bitcoin that I misplaced.
Right. There's only 21
Now,
million. There's only 21 million Bitcoin, and there's actually there's been people that have accidentally sent Bitcoin to wrong wallets, or we call them burn wallets, what Tyler was just referring to. You send, it was by accident, obviously, but you can't get that back like we were saying. So I guess that could technically be one downside to the blockchain or decentralization, but
but
you
it
got
ultimately comes down to ignorance.
right, right.
How many
And
times
then
have you sent money to the wrong address?
right. Yeah,
Very,
it's
and if
only
you
gonna
do it,
be
you
it's
do
only
it
gonna
one
be
or
your fault.
yeah.
Right. Once you like you said, once you do it once or twice, you probably won't do it again. And that's why you always want to do test transactions. Me and
Yep.
Tyler always stress that. Like do a test transaction, especially if you're sending like a large amount of money. Send a couple dollars or, one small transaction first. Make sure you have the right wallet and then bam, whatever. The next thing after that would really be it's permissionless and open access, guys. Anybody can use it. You can't lock, like, if I said one thing wrong, you can't just lock my wallet or lock my ledger. It's not possible. Like, it's
There's
happened
no
before.
system.
I'm not going to name names or anything, but we've seen people get their accounts shut down before in the US and in other countries.
Imagine, right? You're not harming anybody. You get to say what you want in a free speech country. That's what you're able to do. You're able to say whatever you want. Now, there's good and bad that come along with it, right? You can say bad things, right? But what do you do with the bad things? You get rid of them, like Garrison said. You get rid of them. When it comes down to the permissionless and open access, anybody can participate. You don't get discriminated against because of what you look like, who you are, where you came from, the color of your skin. You don't get discriminated against. Last thing I want to touch on when it comes to decentralization is the permissionless, right? What I was just saying, imagine, right, something limiting you from doing something. I went to go rent a car, right? Within the past week, I went to go rent a car and I paid for it already. I paid for it. I put my information in. I did this. I did that. I gave him my information. Everything was set. I literally get to the place. I get to the place. Guess what? They want to use a credit card. They took the money out of my account. It's gone. I paid. Everything's done. But guess what? They want another factor. And guess what? Because I didn't have it there with me in person, guess what I couldn't do? I couldn't get the car. How many days was it going to take for me to get my money back? 5 to 10 business days. You know how
Oh,
long it
wow.
took for them to take it out of my account? Seconds. And
Yeah.
that is the power of decentralization, guys. Now, with that, Garrison, do you have anything else you want to touch on when it comes to decentralization?
No, no, that's a perfect transition over to centralization. So let's go ahead and
Right.
go back to that.
Decentralization, guys, is exactly that scenario I just described, right? Somebody was in control, somebody, an entity, a thing, a being. Somebody stopped me from that process. When it comes to coding, when it comes to blockchain and decentralization, it works through dApps, decentralized applications. Again, similar to a vending machine. With centralization, guys, I did this, I did that, I did this, I gave everything and the money, paid for it. And they still, when I got there, I drove all the way there even, and then
Yeah,
they still said, nope, not
that's
happening.
ridiculous.
So guys, with centralization, it's mostly, you see it in the traditional finance system, in the current iteration of the internet, right? Which is referred to as Web 2. What we usually talk about is the Web 3. Now, that's the norm, centralization in Web 2. Web 3, it's different. There's a completely different vibe. And I think, Garrison, I think that's what a lot of people are going to appreciate the most when it comes to this new monetary system. I don't even think it's just a monetary system, bro. I think it's accountability system in general, a new system, a whole new place, bro.
Well, yeah, I agree. And obviously, like we said earlier, blockchain's been around since the 90s, but cryptocurrency and digital currency and things like this were made to get away from all this fraud and things that we see go on. This isn't a conspiracy podcast. We're not going to get into these specific fraud events, but they happen all the time. We see it every day, literally every
The
day.
first one being lack of transparency.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter who you voted for. Doesn't matter who won. Let's say you voted for Biden. He won, right? Let's say you voted for Biden. But let's say instead of Biden winning the election, Trump won. And then Biden claimed that Trump manipulated and it was fraud on the election, right? Because that's what Trump did. I don't care what side you take. Let's just play devil's advocate here, right? Doesn't matter. Forget politics. Forget you care about this and that. Forget the
Th-
emotions for just a
We're in
second,
a fake
guys.
scenario.
Forget the emotions for just a second. Where that is eliminated. The possibilities of it happening are eliminated. Completely gone. Everything's transparent, right? And if it was stolen, you wouldn't know so. If it was fraudulent, you would know so. And actually, if it was fraudulent, it wouldn't be allowed to happen. So It doesn't matter what people claim, right? Nobody knows for sure whether it was fraudulent or not. Another scenario, right? Let's say taxes. Taxes are a perfect example. You pay all these money in taxes, right? If you pay capital gains tax, you're paying 30 to 40%. Not good for you. Anyways, you're paying this tax, right? And they claim that they're doing certain things with these taxes. Can you go and verify that right now? Or do you just have to
We just
take
have
their
to,
word for it?
we just have to hope that they're doing what we want with our tax money.
Spit handshake. I hope you're doing what you said you were gonna do, brother. And you're taking the spit handshake from somebody who's lied to you about aliens, something you might not even care about. Why would you, so like how many times would you trust, right? And you put it in a different scenario. Let's say you had a significant other, they cheated on you, lied, you found out. Would you trust them again? No.
Right. And another example that I'd like to bring up as well is now this is a place that actually uses blockchain to be transparent. The World Wildlife Fund uses blockchain to help keep track of things like overfishing. And and now everybody can go see that. Like what's being overfished, or I'm not exactly sure how it works on the back end of things like that, but it's transparent, guys. We can go
Think about like a cool utilization of blockchain technology like this, bro. Dude, Twitter's a perfect example, right? Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, it's now X, thanks to Elon. But you think about things like this. You could solve the whole verified, the whole this, the whole that, the bots, the scammers. Because imagine, Garrison, in the last few days, I've had 30 people message me and say, dude, is this you? Is this a fake? Is this that? Dude, I think I sent it in the group chat. Like everybody keeps asking me, no, people are making fake accounts of me trying to scam you off cryptocurrency, right? They're trying to scam you. Now with blockchain, you could take that away. How do you take that away? Well, you have to put it down to a deposit, right? Like you would an apartment, right? You have to pay the first, last, and a deposit down of whatever it is, the first month's rent, second month's rent, and the last month's rent, and the security deposit, right? Imagine we do that with X or Twitter, right? You have to put a security deposit of $10 down. At any point, you can go take your $10 back, but you have to put it down, and then you get a gold check mark. Now, if you wanted to go, if you did anything wrong, got reported, and it was, proven to be that you broke the rules and guidelines, you would lose your $10. Now imagine you wanted to scam me and implement me or replicate me and go try to scam people. You have to pay $10. And then if you get caught trying to scam people, somebody reports you, it gets found out is true, you lose your $10. Would you go and spend and do 50 different accounts me? No, there's no accountability, right? You wouldn't spend $500 just to go replicate me to try to scam people out of 50 to $100 at a time, trying to find the one or two dumb people that are dumb enough to click a link and send you money and or a gift card because you told them to, you convinced them to, right? And I know that's a long spiel, but ultimately, right, the reason we lean away from centralization is because of all the benefits of decentralization. The benefits. Centralization, there's zero accountability, right? The lack of transparency, the single point of failure. When power and control are concentrated in a single entity, it creates a single point of failure, which can be vulnerable to hacks, mismanagement, fraud,
right.
lying, somebody
Which
saying something and doing the opposite.
I remember years ago when I was really young, someone had hacked like the Microsoft servers and actually PlayStation servers before. I'm sure it's happened to a lot of big companies like that. But they hacked it and nobody was able to touch the servers or anything. We couldn't play. They took control of the server, and since there's only one point of access, it got shut down for everything. There wasn't multiple computers all over the world working on it at the same time. Another like real world use case or something, or kind of an idea on like how blockchain can work. Like imagine streetlights. Imagine the street light went down and it sends out a notification. It goes to every computer that's helping run this central or to help run this street light. Someone fixes it. It even makes things like that more efficient, whether if it's something on the connection side of things. But like blockchain can make a lot of things more, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Um, Better. Just it makes things better and smoother.
Yeah.
Like credit cards, or like Tyler said, taxes, things like that. So,
And so
um
when it really comes to centralization, there's those lack of transparency, the single point of failure, the censorship and control, right? Like we talked about, you just have to kind of take their word for it and hope that they said they were sending the money to Ukraine or to this or to that, and they said they were doing this, but there's no way to 100% verify that. The
right.
blockchain and decentralization takes care of that. So really, guys, crypto and the Web3 space is built on the principles of decentralization, where the power and control are distributed. Am I saying that right?
Yeah,
Distributed,
pretty much.
across a network of participants rather than being concentrated in a single entity. So that's why we enjoy it. That's why we like it, guys. And that's the power of decentralization, right? The transparency, the immutability, the chronological and timestamp, the ability to move money across time and across borders effortlessly, right? In the book, The Bitcoin Standard, right? There was this guy O'Keefe, he was pretty much a pirate in simple terms, right? I'll make it a short story. He was a pirate. He came along. He wasn't really a pirate, but according to the land people, right? He was a pirate because he came along and he wanted to buy stuff in their civilization, in their neighborhood, right, in this community, but he couldn't because he didn't have their currency, right? Well, how did he get their currency? He needs to work in their environment to get their currency. Instead, he went to another place, and the used currency was limestone. So he went to a place where he got the rock, made his own currency, and came back. But the people were like, no, you can't just come back because that money was created in a non-compliant way, right? It was created too easily. The people said, no, you can't do that, not in our monetary system, right? That's where money can be moved across time, chronological and timestamp. You know, every single time. If I send money to Garrison right now, he knows when it's there, right? With the O'Keefe, the pirate guy, people knew that he was bringing the rocks back, saying you can't bring those rocks here. That wasn't how we didn't agree to that. So you have the consensus driven, right? The network of nodes that must reach a consensus to validate a new transaction. Everybody knows that Garrison owns the rock in the center of the neighborhood and the applications, right? The applications, blockchain technology has applications beyond just cryptocurrencies, guys, such as supply chain management, voting systems, smart contracts, and a ton more, right? You compare it to the .com era. You look at Brave browser versus Google. That's a perfect comparison. Brave browser versus Google. Google doesn't pay me to go on the internet. Brave browser rewards me every time I search something, every time I go to a new tab, every time I utilize their stuff, I get rewarded. Google doesn't do that. Google actually utilizes my data, sells my data for cheap, makes money on my data, and then sends me ads based on the data that they sold from me that I had to give them access to do. Instead, on Brave browser, I say, hey, you could do that, but you have to pay me for it. And that's what happens, guys. That's the difference. So applications, there's a lot of them. The .com era is a good comparison, right? What makes Uniswap the Google of decentralized exchanges? What makes Cardano the Google of decentralized, not decentralized exchange, what smart contracts? What makes Maker or Aave the Google, right? Instead of being Bing or Yahoo Search, what makes it the Google of lending and borrowing protocols? So Garrison, I mean, honestly, bro, that's all I have to say about the rest of that. Do you have anything you want to say to wrap it up? I know I said a bunch and I went on a long ramble, bro, but
No, no, all good, bro. Yeah, I think things like voting system and like supply chain management is gonna be big. It made me think about you go to get a loan or you go to buy a house. How long does it take to go through the process? Because you have to send in your papers, and then they have to send in your papers, and oh no, they forgot to ask you for a paper, so you got to send it in. And then they got to look at all these papers. When if it was on the blockchain, it would all already be there. You could search it up, find it, find the, timestamp or whatever you're looking for, way easier. You don't have to go through millions of files if you're a medical, if you're a doctor's office or a hospital, trying to find what happened on March 30th, like 2001.
Imagine this, bro. Garrison, every time you go and change your Twitter profile, what do you have to wait for when your blue check mark goes away? And then what do you have to wait for?
For it to verify.
Somebody's approval, somebody to
Correct.
verify that it was authentic. When in reality, he should have been already authenticated because guess what? He paid 11 bucks.
Right.
He paid what it costs. He was already authenticated when he paid. And
And
if they want to take that away, they just say, well, we're going to take your money.
yeah, yeah, you guys, blockchain's very strong. I think it's going to really advance humanity and society as a whole. A lot of people are scared of it, which, it's just new. People were scared of credit cards and, people probably didn't want to download MySpace or even get Google or buy a computer when that stuff was coming out. So, um, it takes a lot to get rid of like a blockchain or something like Bitcoin. So, actually, one last thing I want to bring up. I was listening to Michael Saylor and Tyler. I know you've seen this video before. It's about
Right.
like what you would have to do to actually take down the Bitcoin network for 6 hours or gain control of it. So it's digital power. Bitcoin's digital power is 350 exahash, which is, guys, that's 20 billion worth of computer equipment. And then you can value its energy at about 5 cents a kilowatt an hour. Um, if it's 5 cents of kilowatts an hour, the energy is about 5 to 6 billion a year. And if you wanted to block all messages on the blockchain for 6 hours, you'll need to win the next 60 blocks, which takes up 3,500 exahash. That's the problem. If you were to hijack Google, Amazon, and Microsoft, all their computer power, you'd only get about 5 exahash, guys. You need 2,000 times the amount of energy as those three companies could provide to just block Bitcoin for only 6 hours. And um, which is not even possible. You literally need like 3 Earths to do something like that. So when you look at the back end and understand what blockchain or even cryptocurrency is really doing for like everything we talked about, all the points we brought up tonight, I'll go over them again. Decentralization. We're getting away from the centralization now. We got transparency, immutability, chronological and time-stamped, consensus-driven, and applications. Guys, that's everything we went over tonight. I don't have anything else. I hope what I just explained made sense. I know exahash. I'll actually give you the definition really quick. Exahash. An exahash refers to hash rate of Bitcoin, which is measured in exahashes per second. So, you know, that are equivalent to 1 quintillion hashes. So that's why you need so much power to stop the network. Eventually, everybody's just going to have to flip over rather than spending hundreds of years on how to try and stop it.
Facts,
Pretty
bro.
much came out of the words of Michael Saylor.
Big facts. And I'm glad you said that, bro. The last thing I have to say is subscribe, guys, and join us every single week as we lead you step by step into elite digital wealth with the Elite Wealth Podcast. And together, we're elevating the Web3 and cryptocurrency space. Let's crush it and let's get these cryptocurrency gains, familia. We'll see you next time.
We'll see you guys next week.